Hi everyone, I'm Teacher Cheryl and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be looking at comprehension questions, specifically a type of comprehension question that asks you to answer in your own words. I call these questions rephrase content questions. So this video will cover two main things: what are rephrase content questions, and also how to answer these rephrase content questions. We will also look at a few different examples from the O-level exams. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing we need to know are what rephrase content questions are. Rephrase content questions are basically questions which ask you to answer in your own words. For these kinds of questions, you are usually able to find the answer in the passage itself. Now, if you do lift your answer from the passage, meaning you copy exactly what the passage says, you will get 0 marks for this question because the question has asked you to answer in your own words. So how do we actually answer rephrase content questions? I've broken it down for you into 3 simple steps. For step 1, you need to identify the answer from the text first. Then in step 2, you need to pick out the keywords from the quote that you have picked out from the text. And the third step is just to replace those keywords with suitable synonyms. So let's take a look at an example. This example is taken from the 2015 O-level paper, and I'm going to read to you the paragraph first. The rice must be dried quickly to prevent the formation of mold. Examples of drying methods range from the most time-consuming and labor-intensive, laying the rice out in the sun, to using very sophisticated machinery such as the so-called continuous flow dryer. Once dried, the rice grains are milled to remove the outer layers. And the question is, using your own words, identify 2 problems associated with the process of laying the rice out in the sun. So notice the keywords in the question, using your own words. Therefore, this is most likely a rephrase content question. So remember, in step 1, we need to identify the answer first. I'd like you to pause this video now and try to pick out the detail from the paragraph that answers this question. Okay, so hopefully you've done that, so now let's take a look. We'll start off with the very first sentence. The rice must be dried quickly to prevent the formation of mold. Now this is definitely not the answer because it doesn't answer the question. Remember, the question is asking us to identify problems that's associated with laying the rice out in the sun. So this sentence doesn't say anything about laying the rice out in the sun, just says that the rice needs to be dried quickly. In the second sentence, they actually give us some examples of how the rice is dried quickly. Look at the sentence again. Examples of drying methods range from the most time-consuming and labor-intensive. And they use the hyphen there, saying laying the rice out in the sun. So I think we found our answer because it tells us the problems of laying the rice out in the sun, which is time-consuming and labor-intensive. Let's double check the last part of this paragraph, to using very sophisticated machinery all the way until to remove the outer layers. Obviously, the second part talks about sophisticated machinery, so nothing to do with laying the rice out in the sun. And the last part is just telling us once the grains are dried, what happens to the grains. So we've definitely found our answer. So let's go on to step 2, which is to pick out the keywords in the details that we have found. Well, obviously I've already picked out time-consuming and labor-intensive, so these are my 2 keywords. So we can move on to step 3, which is to replace the keywords with suitable synonyms. Once again, I'd like you to pause this video and think about how you can rephrase these 2 keywords. Okay, let me show you how I have done it. Now, sometimes it might be very difficult to think of appropriate synonyms to replace these keywords. So sometimes you can just rephrase them in a different way. Now remember, this is not summary, so you don't have to actually cut down the number of words. It doesn't matter how many words you write. So let's look at the word time-consuming. Another way we can rephrase this is to say that it takes a lot of time, which basically means the same thing as time-consuming. For labor intensive, I decided to say something like requires a large amount of physical work. Now that we've done that, we can put everything together into a final answer. Remember, your final answer should be in a complete sentence. So mine looks something like this. The process takes a lot of time and requires a large amount of physical work. Alright, moving on to example 2. Now this example is taken from the 2020 O-level paper, and once again I'm going to read the paragraph to you first. In 1519, another Portuguese explorer, Magellan, referred to his discovery of penguins in South America. There is little doubt that the word penguin is derived from the Portuguese pinguim, originally coined by a fisherman to name another flightless bird, now known as the northern great auk. Magellan's sailors would certainly have noted the similarity to the northern bird of the strange new version they had discovered, which also had an upright posture. The question is, with reference to paragraph 2, give in your own words the 2 reasons why Portuguese sailors thought penguins were similar to the northern great auk. Okay, so pause this video now and try to identify the answer from this paragraph. So let me share with you my answer. The question is asking us for similarities between the penguins and the northern great auk. So let's look for similarities in the paragraph. The first one is another flightless bird. Now notice the word another. Another tells us that there's more than one and it's like an additional thing. So that means something else is also flightless. The second detail I've picked out is also had an upright posture. Again, the word also tells us it's an additional thing. So these 2 words, another and also, are very good clues to tell us that the 2 types of birds are pretty similar. Alright, so now that we have these 2 phrases, let's pick out the keywords that we can actually rephrase. So again, pause this video and identify the words or phrases that you think should be replaced with suitable synonyms. Okay, so let's start off with the first one, another flightless bird. So I've identified the word flightless. And in the second one, also had an upright posture, I have identified the words upright posture. So now we can think about how we can rephrase these words. So once more, take a second to pause this video and think about how you can rephrase these keywords. Okay, so again, starting off with the first one, flightless. So flightless means they cannot fly, therefore I'm just going to use that, cannot fly. What about upright posture? So upright posture means that they are standing up straight, therefore I'm just going to use that, stand straight up. Okay, so now I'm going to put everything together in a final answer. Both cannot fly and they stand up straight. So let's look at example 3. I said goodbye to her as I was leaving to work on the other side of the world. We were on the station platform and my train was approaching. I was about to get on it, and I wouldn't be back for a long, long time. My mother didn't tell me not to go, but her grip on my shoulder transmitted her awareness that I was always going to leave, that we both knew that the urge had always been in me. The question? The writer says her grip on my shoulder transmitted her awareness that I was always going to leave. Explain in your own words what is happening here. So what I want you to do this time is to pause this video and you're going to go through steps 1 to 3 by yourself. So first, identify the answer from the paragraph. Second, identify the keywords that you think can be rephrased. And third, craft your final answer. Then share your answer with me in the comment box below. Okay, so hopefully you've done that, so let's take a look now at the paragraph again. So first of all, we are going to identify the detail from the paragraph. So the first thing I'm going to highlight is the detail that's been given in the question, and that is her grip on my shoulder transmitted her awareness that I was always going to leave. For this question, I'm actually going to pick out a little bit of the context because I need to know a little bit of background information. Now in the paragraph, they tell us that the writer said goodbye, and the writer was leaving to work on the other side of the world. So that's a really long way from home. And the writer also said that they wouldn't be back for a long time. And the last part here, the writer says that the urge had always been in me. And what is this urge? This urge is to leave home and to go somewhere else, probably somewhere very far away. Okay, so I understand a little bit more about the context about what's going on, so I'm going to pick out the keywords in the phrase that I should be rephrasing. And the three I've picked out are her grip on, transmitted, and her awareness. So how can we rephrase these keywords? So starting off with her grip on, usually when you're gripping something, you're holding on to something really tightly. So I can use the words clutching or holding tightly. The word transmitted means showed, so I'm just going to use that word. And her awareness. So awareness usually means something like understanding or realization. Okay, so now I have these three things, I'm going to put them all together in my final answer. So my answer goes like this: the writer's mother was holding the writer's shoulder tightly, showing that she realized that her daughter would leave one day. Okay, so today we have covered what rephrase content questions are, and also the 3 steps on how to answer these rephrase content questions. So remember, it's pretty easy. Step 1, all you need to do is identify the answer from the text. In step 2, pick out the keywords, make sure you understand the meaning of the keywords. And step 3, replace those keywords with suitable synonyms. So that's all for today's video. If you found it useful, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Also, feel free to share this with your friends and family whom you think might find it useful as well. See you in the next one. Bye!